I love this countdown to Christmas calendar because it has a front and a back side. It is created by Kaisercraft, and you'll see that I used some graphic 45 paper as my base paper for the tree on the back of my calendar. Hello friends, it's Heather, and I wanted to show you a countdown to Christmas calendar that I created using Gecko Galz images and some goodies from my design team package from Esmeralda at Pro 31 Designs. Here is the top to my countdown to Christmas calendar. I used some green leaves, some ribbon trim, a flatback pearl, some crystal chandelier drops, some flower beaded trim, a fabulous cameo, and one of my porcelain roses that I received in my design team kit from Pro 31 Designs. I used one of my favorite pattern papers from K & Company. It's a pretty creamy white background with little holly branches and berries for the background of my Christmas tree countdown calendar. I also used a few images from Gecko Galz that I collaged together to create the greenery bunch with red holly and white flowers. I used my hot glue gun to adhere the two leaves, my flower, the cameo, and the porcelain rose to my Christmas tree. I then took a piece of gold beading wire and I strung the two chandelier drops on there and then made curlicues using a skewer, which you can see in one of the tutorials that I did earlier. Here you'll see my Gecko Gale images. I have the collage piece at the top of the holly and the flowers, and then I have two angels. The red piece of paper behind my numbers is a digital paper by Gecko Galz, and then the little flowers with the holly in the corners at the bottom are Gecko Galz as well. Same with the brown paper at the very bottom of my tree base. It's a music paper, digital paper by Gecko Galz. I used art glitter glue and my fine tip applicator to apply glue to the holly, the centers of the flower, around the edges of the flower, the holly berries, the angels, and the numbers. I used some blue, green, pink, white, and red glitters, even a little yellow, all from Martha Stewart, and I used black glitter on my numbers. I used liquid pearls in ruby red to create some of the holly berries, as well as little dots going around the red pattern paper edge. I used liquid pearls in bisque to form little dots around my music note paper that I have on my number tiles. The music paper that I used on my number tiles is from the Graphic Fairy, and before I adhered these papers to the tiles, I inked the edges with Vintage Photo Distress Ink by Ranger. I also used Wedgwood Green by Delta Ceramic Coat Paints to paint the tiles before applying my paper. You will also see that I used some of my pearl drop trim to add a cute little touch to the bottom of my tiles that I received in my design team package from Esmeralda at Pro 31 Designs. Here is a picture of the side of my tree. At the top, you'll be able to see where I curled the jewelry wire that holds my two chandelier drops, and you'll also be able to see the tiny beige floral beaded trim that came in my design team package from Esmeralda that I put on the sides of my Christmas tree. Before I applied any paper to my tree, I gave it a nice light sanding with a sanding block, which you can get at Michael's or Joann's, and I used a really small fine grain sanding block. I painted the edges of my tree with a gold paint by Delta. You could also use a gold paint by either Americana, Deco Art, or Folk Art paints. Those three paints are paints I used a lot when I did a lot of toll painting, and they have very nice coverage with fewer amount of coats of paint. where if you get like a craft barrel paint or one of the paints that you'll see a lot of the times at Michael's or Joann's on sale for only 50 cents a bottle, it may seem really cheap, but it's going to take you twice as many coats to get the same opaque coverage as you get with the Deco Art, Delta, or Folk Art paints. That's just a little toll painting tip I'm going to throw in there for you. I used the small, creamy, floral beaded trim that I got in my design team package from Esmeralda at Pro 31 Designs to finish off my edges of my Christmas tree. So it gives it a nice finished look. I also used it on the top of the base part of the tree that's perpendicular to the tree itself. You'll also see the fabulous red crystal that I got as part of my kit too. And I just love these. They're plastic and they're, lightweight, so it's really nice to use to your projects because you can not worry about them being too heavy and falling off, and yet they have many facets and they still catch the light and are nice and sparkly, and I love sparkly things. Here is another close-up of the floral beaded trim, one of the flowers that I made in those beautiful crystal chandelier drops. One is like a brown amber color and the other one is a clear, and you can just see how nice and sparkly they can be. And you'll notice the little curly cue of the wire edges that I did with that skewer, which, like I said earlier, you can see in one of my previous tutorials. I love that this piece has two sides, so you're able to decorate the front and the back. And on the back I used a paper by Graphic 45 for my overall pattern, and I used a stamp from Gecko Galz, and then I used perfect pearls and perfect copper on the stamps. So you'll see just that slight gold outline at the top right hand side there of my snowflake that I put on. You'll also see that I added some glue and glitter to the back of my leaves from the other side so that it would look pretty on both sides. Here are some more flowers that I created using the trim and flatback pearls that I received in my design team kit from Pro 31 Designs. I also used some more of my leaves and those adorable little crystal flowers. I just love those. They have a tiny rhinestone in the center that's clear with the clear flowers, and I just pop that out and I add little dollop of copper stickles, and I just love how it looks. And they're great for the beading wire because there's a little shank on the back, and so you can just stick the beading wire through there and then easily curl up the edges, which is what I've done here. You'll also see that I used the pearl drop trim at the bottom of my Merry Christmas image. I used a couple different images from Gecko Galz to create the Merry Christmas collage. I like to use the free online program called GIMP to create my collages, and if you look at my YouTube channel, I have a few beginning tutorials on how to use GIMP, and it's really a lot of fun to create your own collages, and like I said, the program is free, so why not try it out. After I create my collage in GIMP, I save it as a GIF file, which is an extension of a period GIF, and that will save it with a transparent background. I then drag this image into my Silhouette Studio program and use the Find the Outline feature so that then I can print the image on a piece of paper in my own computer and then use their registration marks in the Silhouette SD to cut it out for me. And it's something that I love to do, and it's something, if you don't have a digital cutter, I would definitely suggest getting the Silhouette or a Cameo. You can also see in this photo some more of my snowflakes that I stamped on using my Gecko Galz stamp and the Perfect Pearls in Perfect Copper by Ranger. There's also that glamorous little red drop hanging crystal, which I just love those, at the bottom there, as well as another crystal flower with a dollop of stickles in copper in the center. I just love how the Graphic 45 paper looks with my Merry Christmas collage and all the glitter that I have on my leaves and my flowers. I just think it looks beautiful, and I love perfect pearls. It's one of my favorite things to add to all of my projects, to just add just a tad bit more, sparkle. And copper is one of my favorite colors to use. I just love how the glitter catches the light, and this will look really pretty as a centerpiece on your table since both sides are decorated. It doesn't have to go up on a shelf where you only can see one side. You can set it right out in the center or something, and you can see both sides and have a fun time decorating both sides. I used my art glitter glue with the fine tip applicator to apply glue to the wreath, the leaves, and the little holly berries on my Merry Christmas collage. I used some red glitter and green glitter from Martha Stewart on this piece as well. You'll also see some red trim peeking out from underneath my creamy flowers, and that came in my design team package from Esmeralda at Pro 31 Designs as well. And if you see my first video that I did of my opening my design team goodies, you can see that in a full piece. It's really pretty dimensional trim, and it's a satiny color. So overall this piece has a nice glittery satiny look. I just love it. I just love playing with the images that I get from Leanne at Gecko Galz each month. Right now she has a sale going on at the Gecko Galz webpage, which I'll put the link below, where if you buy one set of ephemera, you get a second set of ephemera for free. And usually her collage sheet sets cost between $2 and $2.50. And she's got many different images. There's like holiday, she's got vintage, she's got modern, you name it, she has it there. And she also has a lot of contests on her blog and at the Gecko Gals website. So there's lots of chances to win free ephemera and like digital papers. So I would definitely check them out. And I will put the link below. The flowers here are the same ones I created in my vintage Christmas envelope tutorial. The flower in the center is a bigger flower. I used a longer piece of the ribbon trim, and then I glued my flat back pearl to the center of it, and I kind of tucked it underneath the ribbon. The second flower, which is smaller to the right, I used a shorter length of trim, and then when I was gluing down the flat back pearl, it's more on top of the trim because it doesn't fit underneath. It's not a big enough circle to fit down underneath. So you can get different sizes with your flowers. And again, that was my vintage Christmas envelope tutorial that I did just a couple days before this one. I used my Gecko Gals Snowflake stamp and Perfect Medium by Ranger to stamp all over my Christmas tree, and then adhere with a brush the perfect pearls and perfect copper. I used a Perfect Medium pen by Ranger with the fine tip to make a small line going around the outside edge of my Merry Christmas collage, and then I applied with a brush the perfect pearls and perfect copper. This pen comes in a clear color, or you can get it in a black color embossing ink, and like I said, it comes with a fine tip, or you can get a brush tip. I like to use the brush tip if I'm going to make like leaves or I have an area that I need to color in. But when I want to do swirls that I want to be the same size, diameter, I use the fine tip. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in this video, but I like sparkly things and glittery things, and I just love the sheer shimmer of the trim around these flowers and the glitter on the leaves and the crystal flowers and the little facets catching the light. Same with the red crystal at the bottom. I just love the way this all looks. It's so nice and Christmassy. In this photo, the line that I created at the bottom of my Merry Christmas collage with the Perfect Medium pen and the Perfect Pearls and Copper shows up really well. Here is the edge of my Christmas tree on the other side. Here is a close-up of the Christmas tree on the side toward the bottom. And in this photo you can see the amber brown crystal chandelier drop on the left-hand side that I received in my design team kit from Esmeralda at Pro 31 Designs. The Christmas tree countdown calendar from Kaisercraft comes with the 6 tiles. Unfortunately, it didn't come with directions on what numbers to put on each side, so you can just refer back to my video to see what numbers to put on one side, because I wrote them all out on sticky notes. So there's certain numbers on the front, and then I have other numbers on the back. The 6 tiles in the kit will come attached to each other. They're very easy to snap apart, and then you will just need to sand the edges where the nubs are so that they're more flat. I used a green glittery fern-shaped Christmas pick, which I bought from Michael's, as well as some red roses by Recollections, which I also bought at Michael's, to add a nice embellishment at the top left-hand corner of each of my tiles. I also have some of the white creamy pearl drop trim on the bottom, which you'll see that on the 5 and the 2, and I have to get some more because I ran out so I can finish up my tiles. Using my Silhouette Studio program, I applied the numbers on top of the music paper that I found from the Graphic Fairy. So when I printed it out on my printer, I had the music paper with the numbers just in black ink on top already. Then I used my art glitter glue with my fine tip applicator, and I filled the area in with glue and used the black Martha Stewart glitter. You can also see in this picture where I used a perfect medium pen with the fine tip and drew little lines around the outside of the music paper on top of the green paint, and then I used the Perfect Pearls in Perfect Copper by Ranger. Here is the flip side of the tiles, and you can see how they look before I adhered my embellishments in the upper left hand corner. Here are some of the other tiles on the flip side, and like I mentioned earlier, you'll want to keep track of what numbers you have on the front of your tiles and what numbers you have on the back, so that you make sure out of your 6 tiles that you can get every date from 01 of December to the 31st of December. Here is a close-up of 2 of the tiles that don't have the embellishments on them, and you can see the perfect medium lines and the perfect pearls in copper really well in this photo. If you compare this picture to the first picture I took of the 6 tiles with the sides that are embellished, you'll notice that the 6 and the 1 have the drop pearls, and if you see the first picture, you'll notice it's the 2 and the 5 that have the drop pearls. And all I did was simply flip each tile over, so that way you would know what number I had on the front and then what number I have on the back. This is one last photo of the front of my Christmas countdown calendar. The 2 tiny pegs that hold on your tiles will come with the Christmas tree countdown calendar kit from Kaisercraft, but you have to measure where you want them, and I just kind of chose to put my 2 tiles in the center of the bottom part of the tree, but you could have them up a little bit higher and that would look just as nice. Here is one last photo of the back of my Countdown to Christmas calendar. If you check the description below, you'll see links to the items that I used from Pro 31 Designs Etsy shop and a link to the Gecko Galz website. You might want to check them out this month because Leanne has a sale going on where if you buy 1 ephemera set, you get 1 of equal or lesser value for free. And again, her ephemera sets run about $2 to $2.50. I hope you enjoyed my Christmas tree countdown calendar. The piece itself can be bought from Kaisercraft. You might be able to get it at scrapbook.com. I'm not too sure who has them left, but it is by Kaisercraft. If you have any questions, you can contact me through YouTube, or you can send me an email, or you can contact me through my blog. And if you enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks and have a great day.